So let me introduce myself. My name is Bailey Parker, and I am the Communications Director here at the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. Today, we are covering staying safe on the internet, or really staying safe when using devices that are connected to the internet or when we are using the internet ourselves. So just wanted to kind of paint that broad picture there, because a lot of our devices, even when we don't think about it, are probably connected to the internet in some way, shape, or form, especially as we now live in a digital age. Our refrigerators may be connected to the internet. Okay, so how can we keep our information and data safe as we are living our everyday lives? We will talk about how we can do that today. Always have to give this little disclaimer. I'm not an attorney. You don't want legal advice from me. It'd be really bad advice. This presentation is merely serving as an introduction and an overview of the topic. We're not going to be talking about any specific laws today anyways, but we are not here to serve as guidance or interpretation of the laws we administer or enforce. Okay. So this is where we're headed today. This presentation is going to cover a few different areas of the internet. So we're going to talk about digital footprint, and that has to do with digital footprint on the internet specifically. We're going to define what it is and kind of what it may look like for a person. We'll go over what my internet digital footprint may look like, and then privacy or convenience. That's a decision you need to make for yourself as you're using the internet and your digital devices that are connected to the internet. So we'll go over some of those questions you need to ask yourself as you are making those decisions. Then how you can manage your privacy settings as you are signing up for services on the internet, maybe downloading applications or even buying new digital devices. And then online shopping. I have a whole section in here about online shopping because I think when we think of the internet, online shopping and internet are synonymous with each other at this point. And so I have a whole section in there about online shopping scams. And then we close out with tips and tools to keep your information safe. All right, so let's get into it now that we've gone through all of the regular things we got to get through. What is a digital footprint? So we have all these wonderful little logos up here. One of them is a little outdated, but I'm not going to change it. What is a digital footprint when it comes to our internet usage? So it's all of the information online on the internet about a person that's either posted by you, so by me or you, or others, by other people, intentionally or unintentionally. Well, why would it be unintentionally? So let's give an example of Facebook. Say you have a Facebook account, and I'll give an example of myself. I have a Facebook account and my mother has a Facebook account. And let's say my mom posts an embarrassing baby photo of me. And I didn't know about it, but she tags me in it. That is an unintentional part of my digital footprint. Now, I didn't post that, right? My mom did though, and she tagged me in it, which now makes that a part of my digital footprint, whether I wanted it or not. So all of the information that is on the internet about us, whether we wanted it or not, is a part of our digital footprint. So we need to be aware of what our digital footprint is. It's always growing. You need to know that your footprint expands as your information is passed on or as you are using the internet. Unless you are using some sort of device that is hiding every single thing that you're doing, and I'm not talking about you're using your Chrome, I think even other search engines have this viewer on it where you can like hide where you're going on your search engine. So Chrome, Edge, Internet Explorer. I talk to a lot of teens about this, and they're like, oh, well, my parents don't know what I'm searching on the internet because I go into the hiding mode. Guys, that's not how that works. It may hide visibly on your computer what you're doing, but your internet router still knows exactly where you're going. So if anyone actually wanted to see where you're going, you would just get your router and you'd go to your internet company and you'd be able to see everything that you're doing. But everywhere you're going on the internet is searchable. You can find everywhere you're going. It's constantly growing. Every time you send a text message, that's a part of your digital footprint. Every single time you enter in a password, every single time you go to a website, every single time you download an app, every single time that you use some sort of digital device that is connected to the internet, then you can just chuck that into the pile of your digital footprint, all right? It's not just up to you. When other people like your friends or maybe the company that you work for or groups that you belong to post about you, maybe track or share information about you, that becomes a part of your footprint. I'll share an example of this in just a second. And it's permanent. The internet is permanent. The internet was originally created as kind of like a large archive. So think of it as a library archive. And then it has turned into what it is today. And even though you can delete things off of the internet, say it's like, oh, well, my mom posted that embarrassing photo of me as a baby, and I untagged myself on Facebook and I called her and I said, Mom, delete that embarrassing photo of me as a baby. And she does. Okay, no one can see that currently, but there still is a history of it existing at some point on the internet, and then the history of the internet. So people, if they knew how to go through the archive of the internet and through digital footprints, they'd still be able to find that, which is why it doesn't matter if people delete their old tweets or their old Facebook posts or whatever. You could hear of celebrities deleting posts, and then all of a sudden, 6 years later, an old post that they previously deleted shows up. Well, how does that happen? It's because the internet is forever. Even if you delete it, it doesn't matter. It still exists somewhere in the history of the internet. So just know it doesn't ever truly go away. Here is an example. This is me. Bailey McMurney is my maiden name, and I was actually a sports reporter before my current job, believe it or not. And I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah as a sports reporter and producer. And this, if you were to Google, it may look different now. This was about a year and a half ago when I took this image, so it may look a little bit different now. But if you were to Google my maiden name, which was my name on TV, this is what my Google search came up as. And first, it was my TV profile, fox13now.com, the TV station that I worked for. If you were to click on that link, it was every single story that I was associated with at the TV station. And then my LinkedIn profile, so my job profile, and then my Twitter, which I was required to get at the time to live tweet sports events. And then my old YouTube account, my personal YouTube account that I created when I was 15 years old, so almost 20 years ago, with my embarrassing username, MurdyMac15, that I still have to this day. And I can't change that username. Okay, I could delete it and create a new one, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, next one. Scrolling down. These are pictures of me at some point in my life. a much younger version of me. Here's a headshot of me at the news station. This was a picture of me in college winning, and 2 pictures of me at college winning an award. And this was a live shot of me at the Utah Jazz doing a live shot before a game. And I did not post any of these photos. So this is an example of how your digital footprint, you may not have control over it, okay? You may not have control over what goes on the internet. I did not post any of these photos on the internet, but when you Googled me, they came up. Well, how does that happen, Bailey? Well, here, if you go to the images, here are more photos of me. And I would say the vast majority of the photos on here, I did not post them. And I don't have any control over them. Now, luckily for me, none of them are super embarrassing. And some of them aren't even of me. Like this is not of me, but I can explain why this picture of a man receiving a cancer treatment is there. It's because I did a story about a man who was receiving cancer treatment. I worked at a hospital for a period of time and did stories for them. And my name was associated with that story. And then this was a coworker that I worked with at Fox 13, and I worked with him on a couple of stories. So his face comes up for whatever reason when you searched my name. So just know that you may not have control over what comes up when you Google yourself. And that's just a part of your digital footprint. This is just an example. This isn't your whole digital footprint, right? Just an example of it. But I do challenge you to maybe Google yourself. It sounds a little funny, but Google yourself just to get an idea of what's out there. What information are you going to find when you put your name in? Maybe put your name in and your location and see if there's any information out there about you. And you can say, well, Bailey, I don't use the internet that much. I don't have social media. I'm not a news reporter like you or a previous news reporter like you. So there's not going to be a lot out there. Guys, you'd be shocked, okay? My grandma is 91 years old and she doesn't use the internet, doesn't have an internet connection, doesn't have a computer. If you were to Google her name, a lot of her information comes up. When you logically think about it, county records are now online. Public records are now online. So a lot of information about you is probably online that you're not thinking about. So let's think about this. Things that we can control, privacy or convenience. When we're talking about our personal devices, whether it's an iPad, a laptop, a phone, whatever it may be, we need to be thinking about privacy versus convenience, because honestly, a lot of the decisions that we're making on the daily basis is, well, it's convenient for me to save my payment information into Amazon because then I don't have to enter it in at every time. But that's not the safest way, because what if somebody hacks into your Amazon account? Then they have all your payment information. They can go on a shopping spree. It's convenience, but that's not the safest or most private way. So you need to make decisions on what's most important to you. Is your privacy most important to you, or is convenience most important to you? So you need to know the trade-off. Sometimes, these are just some examples. Sometimes when you download a new application on your phone, your device, open a new online account. This could be a financial account, some other type of account, join a new social media platform. You'll be asked to access your personal information before you use that application or before you have a new online account. This could be for a financial institution. So say you have an account with Capital One. That's the first financial institution that came to my mind. So for a credit card company. And say you want to download that credit card company's application on your cell phone or whatever digital device you have. And before you download that app, it's going to ask you to access your personal information. Almost every app does it now. For these types of businesses, your information is valuable. It's money to them because they can learn more about you, but also potentially sometimes, not for all businesses, you need to read the terms and conditions here. But for some businesses, they might sell your information. And there are some businesses that do that. And they tell you in the terms and conditions. A lot of times we don't read it, unfortunately. Think before you give over your information, even if the service is free. We see free and we check the terms and conditions and we move on with our life. We don't read the terms and conditions because it's all legal jargon. And if we were to actually read it, it's we have access to the data that you're using, the information that you're entering in here, blah, 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 blah. For some of it, it's we even are selling your information to third-party marketers. Some credit companies do this. So just be aware that there are some trade-offs here. So ask these questions before sharing your data with businesses, applications, or services. Is the service, app, or game, because it could be even Candy Crush on your phone, worth the amount or type of personal data they want in return? Because even for an app like Candy Crush, they could be asking for maybe a credit card connection, because you can do in-app purchases. Can you control your data privacy and still use the service? So do you have control over how much information you give over, or do you just have to give everything over? Is the data requested even relevant for the application or service? So I'm trying to download Solitaire, and for whatever reason, they want to know all my contacts. If you haven't used an app, service, or account in several months, is it worth keeping around knowing that it may be collecting or sharing your data? When I say this, there are certain apps, maybe services or accounts, and that are running in the background of your phone that are still collecting information about you. So there are some large shopping applications that have been known to be on phones that are running in the background, finding out where you're going. So they're tracking on your phone through internet and GPS where you're going, traveling, and they say, oh, you passed by our store, we're having a sale. And so just know, if you haven't used a certain app or service for a certain period of time, you might want to rethink, first of all, think, are they collecting information about me still? Is this something I should keep on my phone? There is also an option, I don't know if it's on Android, it might be on Android, but I know it's an option on iPhones now, where you can actually have them offload apps that you haven't used after a certain period of time. And when I say offload, it means it will uninstall the app, so it won't be using any of your information and memory after a certain period of time if you haven't used the app in 30 to 60 days. So you can set that. That's just an option. So how do you manage your privacy settings when it comes to these types of things? This is something you're going to have to do yourself, because a lot of these applications and services are just going to have a default. And if you want to really make sure you have the highest privacy settings, or just you want to make sure that they are to your liking, you need to go in yourself and do them. So go into each of your online accounts, check your privacy settings, and make sure you're comfortable with each of those settings. If you're not comfortable with the highest privacy that a platform offers, then you might want to consider getting rid of that account. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow of, well, I really like this service or I really like this app, but the privacy is terrible. So that's where you need to weigh for yourself. They're giving away a lot of my information or they're using a lot of my data, but I really like the app. So what's more important to me? We get a lot of questions from people of, well, how do I actually do that? And people ask us to provide the links of like where to do the security settings or how do I get to my privacy settings. StaySafeOnline.org has almost every link that you could want. I'll show it to you real quick. Let me open it up. So StaySafeOnline.org is through the National Cybersecurity Alliance. We're a member of this alliance along with many other federal agencies, huge organizations. So this is a well-vetted organization. So this is manage your privacy settings. And they have so many links here that go directly to the privacy settings of each of these services, including the social networks of each of, so Be Real, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. These are the ones that we get the most questions about of, well, how do I, it's usually Facebook. How do I customize the privacy settings of my Facebook? Here's the link. So if you download the slides to today's webinar, this is the link you go to. It's all right here. Privacy settings for even photo and video sharing, food delivery services, health applications, all of this stuff. Okay, this is a really great resource. This website in general is fantastic. Just for general cybersecurity tips, they give a lot of really really good articles and update them frequently. So that is there for you. Let me get back to the main screen. But yeah, that's a question we get often. So I provided that link there for you. Now, we got a question in the last webinar that Carrie Gruby-Leibarker, our administrator, got about if we were going to talk about smart TVs and refrigerators and all that stuff. So I put this in there for you. So the thing that's important to know, everything is connected to the internet now. So your smart TV, your cameras, your voice assistants. When I say voice assistant, I mean the most commonly known one is Alexa, but this could be also Google Voice, whatever other little tiny little voice pod that's on your counter that you're talking to during the day to play music and things. But all of these things are connected to the internet. So you also can set up privacy settings for this, and you need to make sure that you are doing everything in your power to keep these as updated as possible and secure as possible. This is up to you as well. So when you are using these devices, and I get questions about these a lot too, of like, Bailey, is Alexa secure? I don't know if I can answer that for you personally. I think that's a personal decision you need to make for yourself. Or I get the question of like, are devices listening to us constantly? I mean, they have to be to a certain extent because they have to be listening to the cues to say, yes, I'm listening. So yeah, they're listening to us to a certain extent. But I'm not here to like get into the ethics of all of that because that's usually where that goes. But you need to make sure when you're using these types of devices, these smart devices, that now everything is a smart device, go into your settings and change those privacy preferences. There are IP cameras or internet protocol cameras. Some of them can be ones that are through USB connections, or they can be on your laptops, whatever. It would be an IP camera. Those can be vulnerable to digital snooping. Voice assistants, as I mentioned, can listen all the time. So you need to go in and set those privacy preferences to your liking. Same thing goes for smartwatches. Smartwatches now are just another hub for all the information about us, whether it's our health information, our text messages, our calls, everything. So you've got to think about your smartwatch being your cell phone on your wrist. If you were to lose your smartwatch and you didn't have a PIN on your smartwatch, there's a lot of information on that, especially if it was one that you bought that had a internet connection automatically in it. Some of them don't. They need to be close to your phone in order to properly work. But some of them already have an internet connection in them. You have to pay more money for that. And if you have one of those, then somebody could just pick that up if you didn't have a PIN on that watch, and they have everything about you. Create a pattern lock for it. Some of those other, if it's not an iWatch or an Apple Watch, you can do like a swipe pattern lock on it instead. So please, 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 all of these security settings are going to be in your device itself, or it's going to be on the smart device that it's connected to. Your cars also are either having their own Wi-Fi connection, so your own internet connection, or are connected to a phone that has an internet connection. So your car has a computer in it that stores a lot of information about you, especially if it's connected to your phone. So it can store your personal contacts. If you sell or donate that car or whatever, there may be personal data in that phone that's accessible to the next owner. So you just need to make sure that when you're doing that, you have somebody wipe the computer on that car, especially if it's one that has an internet connection already in it. There are cars that have Wi-Fi in the car. So you just need to make sure everything is wiped. Some cars have a factory reset option that will return the settings and data to their original state. So you just want to make sure that you get to that point. So please just consider all of these things on your phone when you're using your digital devices. This is a computer that's connected to the internet. Whether it's an iPhone or it's an Android, this is a computer. It's a miniature computer at this point, and it's connected to the internet at all times. And all of your contacts, your address book, are accessed to the internet. Almost 90, I think the most recent data I saw was over 90% of phone calls and text messages are made over internet connections now. And that was from the FCC. So you're using the internet when you're making phone calls and you're sending text messages. And your mobile apps are using internet connections. It's saving your location data, where you're going. Your garage door codes. This is something you don't really think about often, but sometimes people will have a garage door code on their phone. Instead of having one of the old school buttons in your cars, it will actually be either programmed into their car through an internet connection or onto their phone. So just consider these things as you are using these devices. Everything, if it's connected to the internet, it can either be hacked or lost. So just always make sure that your privacy is at the highest level or at a level that you're comfortable with and you're keeping it up to date. Online shopping. So this can happen anywhere, okay? Don't think that just because it's Amazon, oh, it's fine. Online shopping scams don't happen on Amazon. I hear it all the time. I go to presentations in person and they're like, oh, well, I heard that online shopping scams only happen on Facebook Marketplace. No, they happen everywhere now. Fake websites, Amazon, third-party sellers, eBay, everywhere. They'll often be advertising on places like Facebook, or they'll even be on Google with legit looking websites. Anyone can make a very good looking website these days for free, or scammers will even pay a little bit of money to make an even better looking website. The key here is the deals are amazing. We're going into the holidays, guys, and the reason I really wanted to talk about online shopping scams right now is everybody's looking for a deal, especially with inflation. Everybody's wanting to save some money. Please don't get roped into, this looks like an incredible deal, I want to save some money. It's a rock bottom price you can't find anywhere else. There's probably a reason for that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to order and then either nothing shows up or a product that is nothing like you imagined shows up. What we often get reports of is, oh, I ordered like a grill or a smoker, and it was a rock bottom price. It was like 95% off, and then a tiny little box with a picture of a grill came in the mail, something like that. So the rule is, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If a product's advertised online with a rock bottom price, that's a huge red flag of a scam. Sure, you can find good deals by comparison shopping, but if something is deeply discounted, then I would be very wary. And this goes around Black Friday as well. Yes, you can get rock bottom prices around Black Friday, but what scammers will do is they will try and hide their prices around legitimate sellers, like big market sellers like Walmart, Target, who are doing real Black Friday sales, and they will try and market themselves next to those sellers with just a little bit better of a deal. And you're like, ooh, but that deal looks better, and it's not real. So watch out for something that seems too good to be true. And it'll come from a seller that's maybe not that vetted or seems brand new. Don't do it. So here's an example. This is for Louboutins. If you know anything about Louboutins, they're very expensive shoes. And when I say very expensive, we're talking thousands of dollars. And these Louboutins are advertised for $205. $205 is still expensive for a pair of shoes, but compared to the $4,000 price tag, yeah, that deal's too good to be true. And this is a sketchy looking site in general. I would not shop on this site if I were you. Another huge red flag, strange payment methods. Beware of sellers requiring you to pay specifically through wire transfer, prepaid debit cards or gift cards, or cryptocurrency. If anyone is saying you have to pay in a specific way, online sellers should not be requiring you to pay a specific way. They shouldn't say you have to pay by crypto. You have to pay by wire transfer. In fact, if any online seller is saying you have to pay by wire transfer, that's a huge red flag. Or a gift card. They're like, you have to pay by Apple iTunes gift cards. Yeah, no, head the other way. Scammers often prefer these types of payments because they're like cash and they can't be easily stopped or traced. If you can, You should always pay with a credit card online, always. There's way more insurance behind credit cards. You never, 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 ever pay with a debit card online. It's a straight line into your checking account. And that's where your real cash is. Once that cash is gone, it's a lot harder to get back. So these are, if anybody is saying like they're going to do bank transfers, Western Union, these are big red flags right here. Just because they got logos on the bottom of their pages, don't believe it. Be suspicious of websites that are registered in the last 6 months. You can actually check if a website is registered in the, like when they're registered. It's called Who Is Public Internet Directory. So you go to Who Is Public Internet Directory, you put in the URL and it will tell you. So you enter the domain name in. This is a safe website. And it will tell you when that domain was registered. If it was registered recently, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't shop there, okay? Websites that have copy and pasted content. If a website has pictures or information that are copy and pasted from other websites, or the sites are advertised on social media, this could be a sign it's a fake. I actually got an email, I think it was 2 months ago, from a woman. I'm really glad she emailed, because she said, I got an ad on Facebook and the clothing looked really cute. The prices were really fantastic, but I'd never heard of the company before and I was a little suspicious. There weren't a lot of reviews. She took a picture of the ad and sent it to me and said, do you know anything about this company? I'm a little suspicious to give my information over to them. I did a quick Google search of the company name, and everything that came up about it was scam, 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 scam. So, I mean, a quick Google search of company names, if you're suspicious about them, doesn't hurt. I'm really glad she emailed, though, because people are paying, and the pictures on the website, the reason I'm showing this, had been copied and pasted from other websites. And they advertised those on social media. So please be careful. Here is an example of that. So this is from the actual website, from the Bergdorf website. They had copied and pasted this actual shoe onto a shoes pie website. And this happens a lot with like designer clothing, designer items, designer bags, whatever. So, and you may see up here like, well, Bailey, there's a 5-star review. Yeah, those are fake. Those are easy to fake. Okay. Just also another big red flag is when there's like a billion keywords here. You might notice this on, there's some large sellers that you can get rock bottom prices for items, and the names of the items will have very long names. And the reason they're doing that is because of keywords. They want to come up in searches more often. It's called search engine optimization. And they want to make sure that their product comes up when people are searching for things. So they put in as many words into the title as possible so people can find it. That doesn't bode well for the product usually. Sometimes it will come out all right, but usually it means that it's a lower end product. This is not the product that's going to show up on your door, though. If you go to a website that has an outrageous amount of ads or pop-ups, it's not a good sign, guys. The more ads, the more likely you are to click on something by accident. It just means the more money the website owner makes. So every time you click on an ad, money goes to the website owner. So if you're just like getting endless pop-ups, it's just like you can't even like see things on the website because pop-ups just keep coming up, and you're like trying to click out of it, but then you accidentally click on an ad because you're trying to click out of another ad. Yeah, that's on purpose. They're trying to make money off of you. That's just a red flag. Watch out for secure websites. Not that they're a bad thing. You want to watch for secure websites. You should not be shopping on unsecure websites. You want to make sure that the website is secure, so an S after the HTTP, or there'll be a lock symbol. Let me show you this in action here on the staysafeonline.org. So Stay Safe Online, it's got this lock here. This means it's secure. They've paid extra money to encrypt their website, so any information going in or out has been encrypted. So it's not like you're putting any payment information into this website, but sites like Amazon are encrypted or they are secure. What that means is when you're putting in your payment information and it's traveling through the internet, this is the very low version of telling this, the not technical version. It's traveling through the internet, it's being encrypted, and so all of your payment information is being scrambled. Now that does not mean that it can't be hacked or that your account information can't be hacked or your information can't be stolen, but it's just an extra layer of security. This is, again, another version of what it would look like. So there'd be no S after the HTTP if it's not secure. Oftentimes your browser will tell you, hey, this is not a secure website. You still want to go to it? Trust your browser. You don't want to go to that website. And it's much easier for hackers to get into those websites to view what you're doing as well. Watch out for fake logos. It's so easy to fake logos these days. You've seen this already. It's so easy to just like crop a logo and put it on a website. So just because it says PayPal doesn't mean it's actually PayPal. So if you've been scammed, what do you do? If you're a consumer, I've got two separate pages here. One if you're a consumer and one if you're a business, because especially when it comes to shopping online or being on the internet, I've seen consumers get scammed and I've seen businesses get scammed. So if you're a consumer, obviously file a scam report with us. If you see fraudulent, or if you have fraudulent or suspicious activity, report that to the service you bought the product on. So say it's Amazon, report it to Amazon. Then report it to your financial institution that you bought it on. So if it's credit card, your credit card company. If possible, direct your bank or credit card company to stop or reverse any transactions. If the scammer posed as a legitimate business, so say they were posing as, I'm trying to think of a legitimate business. Say they were posing as Jimmy John's. They created a fake Jimmy John's website and they were selling Jimmy John's gift cards for the holidays, as that was the first thing that came to mind. Maybe I'm hungry. And you bought Jimmy John's gift cards for all your family for the holiday through this website. Please contact the company that they were posing as and make them aware that somebody was posing as them. If you're a business, gather as much information as possible. If somebody has copied your website, like the domain name, any platforms used by the scammer, because sometimes scammers will create fake Instagram handles, Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, things like that. Report the fraudulent activity to the appropriate vendors or platforms, so Facebook, Twitter, and this goes for consumers and businesses. Report it to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, so ic3.gov. Or you can go to the local FBI field office. There is one here in Columbia, if you're in Columbia, and you go to fbi.gov. This link here, contact us in field offices. If you are a business, post a notice on your website notifying customers of the scam. If you do not tell people that there's scammers out there, what's the good? More people are going to get scammed, okay? Don't just post it on the website. Send out an email, post it on your social media. You don't want more people getting scammed, okay? And we tell the same thing to consumers. Tell other people about the scam. We hear from consumers all the time, I didn't tell anyone because I was embarrassed. We get it. We understand the embarrassment. But if you don't tell anyone, then no one can learn. And we can't tell other people about the scam, especially if it's something new. If it's a new type of scam or there's a new trick that they're using, then we can't warn other people about it. So we've got 10 minutes left. What are some tips and tools that you can use to protect your information? What do you do now? On your social media specifically, please take your birthday off of all of your accounts. You can do this. I know it's very nice to receive the birthday messages every year. And you could say, well, Bailey, I need to put in my birthday in order to have a social media account because I need to prove that I'm over the age of 13. Yes, you do, but you can hide it. It's in the privacy settings. You can hide your birthday on your accounts. Do that. You don't need people knowing your date of birth. Make all your public accounts private. Your personal accounts, like if you have a business account, I understand that, but your personal accounts don't need to be public. This is a hard sell to some people because they really like the likes and the comments, but please make your accounts private as possible. People do not need to know where you are. People do not need to know where you're eating. People do not need to know your every thought, okay? Make your public accounts private. Do not geotag your location. I don't know how many news stories I've heard of people's houses getting broken into because they like tag a picture of themselves and they're like going on vacation, and it's like a picture of themselves in front of their house before they're going on vacation, and then they geotag. What geotag is like it's people tagging their actual location of where they are in the moment in that picture, and then they post that on social media. And then it's like, my house, and then they post it on their public social media accounts. And then guess what? They go on vacation and their house gets broken into. Don't do that. Don't link all your social media accounts. This is an option for pretty much every social media. So Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Threads, even Spotify, almost every platform. You now can like log in with your Facebook account, log in with your Google account, log in with this account. Don't do it because it links them. And if somebody was to get access to the Facebook account, then they can get access to all of the other accounts that you logged in using that information. Don't do it, not worth it. Obviously, we've gone over this in previous cybersecurity presentations. Make all your passwords strong and different from one another and use a password manager. Multi-factor authentication. This is key. You got to use it. And this goes especially for younger people, but this goes for even older adults who are maybe finding some romance online. If someone tells you to not tell anyone, in any situation, if they're like, don't tell your family member about the conversation we had, don't tell your friend about what I told you, they're a scammer, okay? They are someone you shouldn't trust. This happens on the internet all the time, whether it's in gaming chat rooms, on Facebook, direct messages, wherever on the internet. If someone is telling you not to tell anyone, they're a scammer. And please don't trust social media or the internet to protect you. As much as I would love to say that we could trust the businesses and the internet to protect us at all times and in all places, we can't. We as consumers need to take some of the responsibility here and do some of the work as well. yes, there are some laws in place to protect our information, but we also need to do the work and go into our security settings and bolster that up as well. So what I want you to do is go into your browser for your passwords, whether it's Chrome or Internet Explorer or what is it called now, Edge or Firefox. They all have this for your passwords. And if you're using autofill, don't. But if you are using autofill, Chrome has this, they all have this now where they actually can check if you have compromised passwords. So you go into your settings and you go into your autofill passwords and it checks your passwords for compromised passwords. This was way back in the day for me. So I had 8 compromised passwords at this point. So if you go in there, it will tell you how many compromised passwords you have and then how many weak passwords you have. I had 241 weak passwords. Shoot. So what I did when I found that out, and here are some examples. What I did, this was over a year ago, I actually went in and deleted a lot of the accounts, got rid of them, or I went in and changed the password. So it actually gave you direct links to where you could go and change the password for these websites, okay? Your security questions. Many security questions are going to ask for information that are available in public records or online, like your maiden name. Never use that as a security question, okay? You should never be using that as a security question. So when you can, avoid the questions like your zip code, your mother's maiden name, your birthplace, your first address, things like that. Things that are easily found online. I love this graphic because really it conveys a important concept of social media oversharing. Stop sharing your personal information so scammers can try and guess your passwords or security questions. We share so much on social media that we really shouldn't be. And we do these fun little things, fun little question and answer things on social media, like when me and my husband first met, or my dog's first name, or whatever. And we share that and it's fun, but what scammers love to do, and oftentimes scammers can be people we know or are friends with on social media, they use that information to guess our security questions and passwords. So don't do it. And if somebody's requesting more data than you feel comfortable sharing, either don't shop there or don't download the app. Don't give it all away. You have that choice. You only need to fill out the required fields when you're shopping online at checkout, and don't save your payment information in your profile. And I've mentioned this already in my first cybersecurity basics, but I want to reiterate it again before we get to questions, because we got only a few minutes left. No security method is 100% safe. It doesn't matter how safe we are, security breaches are still going to happen. We have no control over that. So sometimes we have no control over the information that gets on the internet, like I spoke about earlier. But we should be combining as many security measures as possible on our information, as many security measures on our personal information as possible. The more security measures, the higher the protection. It's like layers of armor. The more layers of armor, the more protection we have. Just because you get a security breach notice doesn't mean you're a victim of identity theft. Take actions now, if you haven't, to secure your accounts and monitor them. And don't let cybersecurity scare you. We're in the spooky month of October. Don't let it scare you. Please don't click on those links, right? You get those text messages with the links in them, or the emails with links in them. Think before you click, okay? It's almost always an attempt to get sensitive information or to install malware. Update your software as soon as possible. This goes for every device, even your smart refrigerator and your smart thermostat and your smart car. and your smartphone and your smart watch and your smart shoe, I don't know, everything. Update your software, because if you don't, that can be a point of weakness that a hacker can get into. Strong passwords are key. We've already talked about this. We've had whole presentations on it. Password managers are a great option, and they will also encrypt your passwords. And, oh, I don't know why the little picture went away, but anyways, multi-factor authentication is the best way to keep your accounts private. The FBI and the CIA say multi-factor authentication is the best way the average consumer can keep their accounts as safe as possible right now. So you should be using this on every account you can. We've talked about this in previous presentations, so if you missed that, you can go and watch those. Everybody have a fantastic day. I hope you learned something, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.